Is the monk who sold his Ferrari a true story? The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari is a work of fiction written by Sharma in 1999. But even though fictional, this book brings true wisdom. With the life lessons from the monk who sold his Ferrari, we learn what it means to attain success in two drastically different forms.
The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, Sharma.
The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, Sharma. Julien, a successful lawyer, famous and rich. He argued only to protect wealthy people. Just at the age of 53, he achieved all the materialistic happiness that money can buy, a private jet, luxurious cars like Ferrari and Mercedes, and big mansions at his disposal. Despite achieving all these, he still felt unhappy. To achieve the happiness, he decides to make more money. He started working for almost 18 hours a day. This led him to divorce and barely interacted with his family. The workaholic lifestyle turned him into a man of 80 years old, though he was just 53 only. On a routine court hearing proceedings, suddenly he experiences pain in his chest and gets collapsed. On being treated at the hospital, doctors advise him to refrain from overload and if possible to quit his job, as he just survived a heart attack. On the next heart attack, he might not be lucky to survive. This event comes as a turning point. He retrospects his past life and finds he gained nothing. He reviews himself to be a loser. He completely recovers in few weeks, and after realizing his mistakes, he finally decides to quit the present lifestyle. After selling his mansion, his private jet, and his Ferrari, he leaves in search of life, towards the great Himalayas, the mystical land of India, the house of Indian monks. These enlightened monks were pure of wisdom, led a liberated life, pious soul, body, and mind. These monks lived happily for over 100 years, full of energy and happiness. Upon hearing Julien's story, a monk agrees to admit him to his shelter. Julien lives peacefully. The monk preaches him the principles of life. A monk asks Julien to imagine being in a beautiful garden, surrounded by beautiful flowers and trees, to feel the chirping of birds. And suddenly a lighthouse appears with gate wide opens. Sumo wearing an underwire of thin wire rushes out of the lighthouse, making the whole scene nasty and dirty. Julien is asked to pick up a gold watch lying at lighthouse, and in his attempt to pick it up, he slips and he falls on the ground, lying motionless. A few minutes later, on gaining his consciousness because of the pure ambience, he looks towards his left. On his left was a path paved out of small diamonds which led to a place where the sumo wrestler can find all the happiness in his life. He starts walking on that path and soon gets out of sight. Now I know you guys might be feeling really weird, so did Julien, as this is no story. Julien gets bored, and loses his patience, and screams at the monk if this was some kind of a joke, as this story made no sense at all. The monk then said that this is no ordinary story, as this story has the 7 biggest principles of life. He then went there and started explaining the story, leading it to its hidden meaning. The first principle is related to the garden. The garden in the story symbolizes our brain. If you sow good seeds, you'll eventually be a nice fruit on trees, good plants bearing beautiful flowers, and nice, smooth grass. But if you put garbage inside the garden, or if you just stop watering the plants, the place will soon turn into a dump. Similarly, if you flood your brain with positive thoughts like kindness, love, empathy, and if you keep motivating yourself, your brain will develop into this beautiful garden bearing good thoughts. This will help you achieve great things in life with inner peace. But if you think negatively, or if you don't give your brain some regular exercise, it will turn into this garbage dump which can only yield something poisonous. It's rightly said, an empty mind is the devil's workshop. The second principle is related to the lighthouse, which symbolizes goals in your life. A lighthouse shows the right direction to the ships sailing in an ocean. Similarly, we should choose the right path in our life. You can only reach a destination if at all you know your destination. Choose the target and work on achieving it. You might have to face some difficulties while moving towards your goal. But if you're constantly moving in the right direction, sooner or later you're going to reach your destination. The third principle is related to the sumo wrestler, which symbolizes Kaizen. Kaizen is a Japanese word that means continuous learning and improvement. Like a sumo wrestler has to be very specific with his diet and discipline to achieve this huge physique, we need to always keep learning. 1% Better has always been focusing on how we should inculcate the habit of reading books, because books are the best mentors. Not only you learn things from books, but you always keep improving in every small thing that you do in your life. Moreover, books are a consolidation of everything that the authors have learned in their entire lifetime, and you can have all that knowledge in just a few hours. Isn't that amazing? So my point here is to take part in every activity which you think can help you improve in your life. The fourth principle is related to the underwear that the wrestler is wearing, which is made up of wires. Interpret self-control and discipline. It might be small and think, but without that underwear, the wrestler will be naked, and that really won't be a pleasing sight. Now, if you have seen cable wire from inside, you might be aware of the fact that it usually is made up of many thin wires which together form a cable. These thin wires might be weak alone,